Welcome to Unit 2, our next unit. We have proportions and proportional relationships. Our first lesson is unit rates, and our essential question is, what can unit rates be used for? For a ratio review from 6th grade, write that down, 6th grade, you learned about ratios. A ratio is a comparison of two similar quantities using division. A ratio can be expressed in three different ways. First, it can be expressed as 1 colon 2, 1 to 2. You can use the word 1 to 2, or you can even write it as a fraction 1 to 2, or sometimes written like this 1 to 2 with a little sideways fraction bar. So that's how you can write a ratio for review. And whenever it's possible, a ratio in fraction form should be simplified to lowest terms. So we have 2 chickens to 4 roosters, and these are similar, chickens and roosters, and 2 to 4 can be simplified down to 1 to 2. 12 basketball players to 4 coaches, all working together on the same team. This 12 to 4 can be simplified. 4 goes into both. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 4 divided by 4 is 1, so 3 to 1. 9 red M&Ms to 24 M&Ms. 3 goes into both of these, so we'll divide by 3 over 3, and 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 24 divided by 3 is 8. So a 3 to 8 ratio. And finally, horses, Arabian horses to Mustangs. So again, 3 goes into both of these. 36 divided by 3 is 12, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So it's a 12 to 5 ratio of Arabian horses to Mustangs. That's a review from 6th grade. That's what ratios are. Today we're learning about rates. And here are some examples of rates. A rate is a ratio of two quantities measured in different units. Now that's different. It says the word different, and up here it said two similar quantities. But rates are different units. For instance, we have 40 players to 2 teams. Now it might sound like they're all soccer players or basketball players, but we're talking about teams, and so it's a little bit different. This would be a rate. So 40 to 2. 15 gallons to 3 buckets, 15 gallons to 3 buckets. And 8 burgers to 2 tomatoes. And as we get down in here, we're going to find out about unit rates, and that's really what this lesson's all about. What are they used for? So let's take a look at what we have here. A unit rate is a specific rate of two quantities. It is a rate with denominator, remember the denominator is on the bottom. Remember that's the numerator on top and the denominator on the bottom. The denominator of 1. So it has to have a 1 down there to be a unit rate. A unit rate is the same number as the constant of proportionality. Now if you have a highlighter, take a moment to highlight that or put quotations around it, at least underline it. Constant of proportionality, and that's what you're going to be learning about in this unit. So let's take a look at the speed limit when there are children present. Now you've seen these in the school zones. The speed limit is 25 miles. It just says 25 and doesn't really say much after that. But us drivers know that that's 25 miles per hour, and that is a unit rate because it's per 1 hour. So now I have a unit rate here, speed limit of 30 miles per hour. You can see it, miles per hour. That's the rate, the unit rate. And all of these are non-unit rates because if you look closely, this is miles per 2 hours. This one's miles per 5 hours, miles per 10 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 9 hours, and 13 hours. Now, if we actually had signs like this when we were driving, non-unit rates, it'd be so difficult to actually know the speed. This first one is very simple for people with their driver's license. The speed limit is 30 miles per 1 hour. And that just simply goes like this: 30 miles per hour. Now, to convert this non-unit rate into a unit rate, you just take the speed 30 and divide it by 2. And 30 divided by 2 is 15 miles per hour. So that's what that sign actually means when you see us. You'll never see this actually, but speed limit is 30 miles per 2 hours. So in 2 hours you go 30 miles. So in 1 hour you're going to go 15, half of it. This next one is 30 divided by 5, and 30 divided by 5 is 6 miles per hour. Much slower than the 30 miles per 2 hours. This next one's even slower. It's 30 miles per 10 hours. So 30 divided by 10 is 3 miles per hour. This next one's speed limit 60 miles per 3 hours. So you go 60 divided by 3, and that is 20 miles per hour, mph. This next one is 25 miles per 5 hours, and 25 divided by 5 is 5 miles per hour. The next one, speed limit 45 miles per hour. You do 45 divided by 9. And again, this speed is the exact same as the one next to it, 5 miles per hour. That'd be pretty confusing if you saw this on the side of the road and then you saw this. You might think that this is faster, but they have the same unit rate. And then the last one, 65 miles per hour. You're like, finally, let's get some speed going here. But what is it really? It's miles per 13 hours. So 65 divided by 13 is another 5 miles per hour. So you can see that all three of these signs are the exact same rate. The cars would be going the exact same speed. They're all 5 miles per hour. And the only way you would know that is if you take these problems here, what's on the sign, and convert them to unit rates. Let's take a look at some more here. How do we convert to unit rates? Well, you just saw cleverly how to do it, but there are some other ways. Changing rates into unit rates. Texting 60 characters, that's like texting numbers, characters, symbols, emojis, letters, whatever, in 30 seconds can be written as the rate of 60 characters per 30 seconds. All right, well, that is a rate, but it's not a unit rate. So how do we change this into a unit rate? Well, there are two ways. So we'll discuss way one, and then you'll practice it below, and then we'll discuss way two, and you'll practice that below. So let's go ahead and do way one and work our way down, and then we'll jump to way two. Way one sounds like this. Find the GCF and divide. That's the greatest common factor of 60 and 30. Do you remember doing this? The upside down cake. So what number goes into both? 30 goes into both. 30 goes into 60 twice, and 30 goes into 30 once. There's nothing else we can take out. So this is our GCF. So we'll put 30 over 30, which is actually equal to the number 1. And 60 divided by 30 is 2, and 30 divided by 30 is 1. That looks like a unit rate because we have a 1 on the bottom as a denominator. So let's add some words here. 60 characters abbreviate it to 30 seconds. Written as two, did I say 60 characters? I did. I meant 2 characters. Okay, 2 characters. We'll use the per sign. Second. 2 characters per second. So I don't have to put a 1 second there because a second is 1 second. Now let's try it. We have heartbeats down here. 180 heartbeats per 3 minutes. So just like up here, we're going to divide by the GCF of 180 and 3. Now 3 goes into both, and 3 goes into 180 60 times, and 3 goes into 3 once. And so 3 is our GCF. 180 divided by 3 is 60. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. You see that we have a 1 on the bottom? That's a unit rate. Now what is this? This is 60 heartbeats per 1 minute. And the last one, it's dollars for 15 pounds of oranges. So I go ahead and find your GCF for this one. 15 goes into both, so we'll put 15 over 15. And we'll go ahead and go 45 divided by 15 is 3. And 15 divided by 15 is 1. So it's $3 per 1 pound of oranges. That's an LB. That stands for pounds. LB means pounds. All right, so that's how you do way 1. But I favor way 2. Let's see if you like it better. Divide by the denominator. So just say what this says. This says 60. This line means to divide by 30. So let's write it down. 60 divided by 30. And that is 2. And so all you have to do is 2 characters per second. 2 characters per second. This line right here means the per sign. Here's the per sign. All right, the next one. 150 heartbeats in 2.5 minutes. Now, we're super happy that we're not doing this find your GCF with these two. That would be a lot harder. What does this line mean? It means to divide. So simply you just say 150 divided by 2.5. Let's make that into a decimal. 2 5/10. And so 150 divided by 2 5/10 is 60. So it is 60 heartbeats per minute. Same as before. Look at that. We might have thought it's a different rate, but when we put them into unit rates, we can see that they are the same. And finally, the last one, the oranges. This is $45 for 18 pounds of oranges. So 45, this line means to divide by 18. Type it into your calculator. And it is 2 5/10. But we need to make it into money, so we need another 0 here. So it's $2.50 per pound. $2.50 per pound. All right, go ahead and flip your paper over. And if it ever seems like notes are going fast, you pause and you can go back and take a look at what it is that you may not have understood. Okay, now we have a you-do here, so let me explain how this works. So you have these top ones. You have 60 miles in 3 hours, 35 students in a class, one pizza for 4 people, $35 for 4 socks, 12 players on a team, and 36 roses in a vase. So you're going to look at each of those 6 different rates, and you're going to declare if they are an R for rate or if they are a UR for unit rate. They're either one or the other. And you'll put an R or a UR here and all the way across. And then you're going to rewrite using the per symbol. Now the per symbol is right here. So let's do the first one together. It's 60 miles per 3 hours. Remember, unit rate has a 1 underneath it, and that's a 3, so this is only a rate. And so now we're going to make it into a unit rate. Let's actually move this over. So 60 divided by 3, what we just learned on the last page, is 20. So it's going to be 20 miles per hour. And that's how you do it. So go ahead and make sure you label things and you use the per sign that we have there. Go ahead and pause the video and try the next one. Okay, you're back and you can see that this one was a unit rate because it's only one class. So there wasn't any math to do, you just wrote the answer, 35 students per class. Go ahead and try the next one. One pizza for 4 people. Okay, we're back. It was a rate, so we needed to turn it into a unit rate by doing 1 divided by 4. And on your calculator screen, you'll get 25 hundredths pizzas per person. Now, another way you can do this is decimal form. You could also say a quarter pizza per person. Means the same thing. Okay, you're going to pause the video and do the last 3 on your own. Pause now. Okay, take a look at those last 3 and did you mark them correctly? The sock one was a rate, the last 2 were unit rates, and did you do them correctly? If not, on your notes, it's always good to erase what you have and make sure you understand. And even pause the video. You can even ask your teacher on what it is that maybe you're confused with. All right, let's go back to a we do. This is a read carefully one. So the way things are worded could get you in trouble because it's hard to know when you're looking at rates, but they're not already in fraction form. So look at these are already in fraction form, so you know where the denominator was. But down here, they're not in fraction form, and they don't have the word to. And so which one goes on the top and bottom? Well, you have to use a little bit of logic to do this. Okay? So this is 357 miles in 5 hours. So we want to know how many miles we're probably going in 1 hour. So we're going to write it as 357 divided by 5. And when you do that, you're going to get, in your calculator, 71 and 4/10 miles per hour. Okay, let's be careful on how we read this one. This is earning $134 in 8 hours. So logically, we always want to know how much we earn per hour. So that means the per hour is going to be on the bottom. So 134 divided by 8. And when you do 134 divided by 8, you get 16 and 75 cents. So we'll call it money per hour. And this last one, reading carefully, does make a lot of difference. Because these first two, you took the first number up on top, the first number was on top, but look at this one. This is 8 ducks for $23.60. So we want to know what each duck costs. So we put the 23 up on top divided by the 8. So that's reading carefully. You've got to make the right decision on what kind of unit rate you're looking for. So $23.60 divided by 8 is $2.95. So we'll add our dollar sign and we'll say duck. $2.95 per duck. All right, now we're down at the you-dos. So be very careful in what you choose as your numerator and what you choose as your denominator. Go ahead and try D first, all by itself, and then come back and see if you got it right before you move on. Pause now. Okay, you're back, and you're looking for 48 students per bus. That would make a lot of sense to find out how many students are on one bus. Go ahead and pause the video and try E now. All right, hopefully you decided to put the chairs on top for 27 rows because you would want to know how many chairs are in each row. And then finally, before you do F, I would like you to change this 6 into the number 8. So go ahead and change it into an 8 before you do F. Pause now and try F. All right, take a look at F right here. It's 3,500 calories for 8 servings of pie. So we divide it and we got 437 and 5/10 calories per serving. All right, now I'd like you guys to pause the video and you're going to do G, H, and I, reading very carefully, making a good decision what your numerator is and what your denominator is. Pause now. All right, welcome back. Look at G. You can see it's $33.49 divided by 10. And look what happens when you do this. You get a lot of digits behind the decimal point. Well, it's money, so we have to round to the nearest penny, which is a 4. We look to the 9, and that raises that 4 up to a 5. So it's $3.35 per pound. The next one, boy, if you read this one wrong, you can really get yourself in a situation. It says 24 senior citizens in 12 RVs. So 24 divided by 12 is 2 senior citizens in 1 RV. Let's say you made a mistake and you didn't read carefully and you decided to put the 12 on top divided by the 24, and that is actually going to be 5/10 over 1 simplified, and that means a half a senior citizen I'm sorry, not a half. We got them upside down. That means right there a half a RV per 1 senior citizen. So how would a half of an RV work? A half of a motorhome? I don't think that would work too well. So that's why you got to make sure you read them very carefully and that they make sense. And then finally, I down here it says $37.29 divided by 2 is 18.645. That's not money, so you got to look at the 5, and that would round the 4 up to a 5, so it's $18.65 per pair. All right, that brings us to our very last row of the you-dos. J, K, and I. Go ahead and pause the video and try working on those now. Okay, we are back here with J, K, and L. And we can see that we have our boxes of shells, we have our chickens and the eggs, and we have our box of Titleist golf balls. So making sure that you got things right and that you're using your per signs correctly, you can move on to the test readiness check. Now, if you haven't figured it out already from the first 2 units, you should be able to know that these test readiness check questions are going to be on the test. I can see that some people do not have these done and are losing points on their notes packet. So make sure you get these done. Now, this is a you-do. But let me get you started here. This is M. And M says the graph shows the cost, Y in dollars, per, there's that word per, X pounds of fish. Remember that per sign is that division bar. So Y is on top and X is on the bottom. That's something to know. Y is on top, X is on the bottom. And how do we know that? Well, the only way you would know that is you know what the word per means from the lesson. All right, so now that you know it's Y divided by X, you have your Y here and your X here. This is a coordinate from elementary school. You know that the first one is an X and the second one is a Y. And so that gives you a good hint of which number to put on top. Once you do, you'll find that. Then you're going to go through number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to be very careful. Another thing that you can do to make sure you're right is label your axes. So this is the y-axis. It does mention up here what the y-axis is. And then down here it does mention what the x-axis is. So if you label those, that might give you a good start as well. So go ahead and pause the video and start working on M. Okay, we're back. Now, before you just write things down, this is a test readiness question, so make sure that you're understanding what's going on. I did hint to you that's important to label your y-axis, and it did say y in dollars, so we know that's money. And it does say X pounds of fish, so that's pounds of fish for the X. We also know that the word per, it helps to know that that means to divide, and that's the y divided by the x, which we indicated right here before you started the problem. Now, to find out what the unit rate is of this line at this point, it's 420. So my 20 is my y, and my 4 is my x. So 20 goes on top, divided by the 4 is 5. So I'm looking for unit rates of 5. That 5 means $5 per pound. That's what that means, $5 a pound. All right, so let's take a look at this first one. Let's say 210 is the same unit rate as 420. Well, 210 would have been about right here. And you put the 10 on top, that's the y divided by the x. And 10 divided by 2 is 5, so that is. And this one, we already know. 20 divided by 4 is 5, so this is a good one. The next one, 12 pounds of fish costs $60. 60 divided by 12 is 5. Okay, so that's another good one. Number 3, 20 pounds of fish costs $20. Well, 20 divided by 20 is 1. That is not the same unit rate. And then number 4, 1 pound of fish costs $5. 5 divided by 1 is 5. That's another good one. And the last one, $1 of fish is 4 pounds. Now we've always been putting money on top because that's the y, so the dollar goes on top, the 4 goes underneath, and 1 divided by 4 is 25 hundredths. So that is not okay. So our good ones are 1, 2, and 4. All right, let's shift over to N right here. This says compare two rates by using unit rates. So which is the better buy? Is it the 12.5 ounce bag of Doritos for $3.79, or is it the 3 ounce bag for $1? So you are comparing ounces. So that should give you a good idea which one goes on top. You want to know what it is per ounce. Kind of just gave you a good answer there. That's the per sign. Ounce. Pause the video and try N. Okay, your best buy here is the larger bag because it's 30 cents per ounce, whereas the other smaller bag is 33 cents per ounce. So you're paying more per ounce with the smaller bag than you are the larger bag. So if you need quantity, buy the larger bag. All right, that's M, that's N, and now we're down to O. Okay, it says find the unit rates for each of the lines. Now there are no numbers down here on the x-axis or the y-axis. And so you ought to know that this is the origin, and then you just label these 1, 2, 3. Then up here, this is 0, and then you go up 1, 2, 3, and you just keep on labeling them. Now there's points on these lines. This is line A, this is line B, and line C. So don't get them mixed up with A, B, and C over here. Make sure you're doing the right one for the right one. Then, once you're set and ready to go, you're looking for A first. This is A. Here's A right here. Now, what point is that? I'll give you a hint on this one. It's right above the X and right next to, sorry, the Y right there. So this point is 2, 2. So you write over here, the point is 2, 2. We have an X, and then we have a Y. And which one goes on the top? Well, we learned it from our previous problem on the test readiness check. The Y goes up on top. So Y divided by X. So that's going to be 2 up on top with 2 on the bottom. And that is 1. So pause the video and finish it off. Be careful when you're counting. Okay, we're back here, and let's discuss this one a little bit so you make sure you understand everything that's happening. So you can see we had A, B, and C. We did kind of the A together, and then it was time for B, and B is right up here. If you look straight down, you can see that it's lined up with the 4, and it's also lined up with the 8. So the point here is 4, 8. That's the X, and that's the Y. So 4 is the X, 8 is the Y. To find the unit rate, we put the Y on top and the X on the bottom, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Then we go down to C. C is lined up with the 7 on the X and the 3 on the Y. So 7, 3, we put the 3, the Y on top, and the X on the bottom, and 3 divided by 7 is this long thing on your calculator screen. It is this long one. It just doesn't stop. It just keeps on going on. Now you can compare these three numbers. Okay, that's the essential question. What is unit rates really good for? Well, it's comparing numbers, and you can see that the greatest unit rate, UR for unit rate is 2. Okay, the least one is unit rate of 0.42 and so on. And then the middle one, right in the middle, is 1. And you can see right over here, as the lines get steeper, they have a larger unit rate. All right, now for the last one. So it's M, N, O, and this should be the letter P. So scratch that out, put a P there. And pause the video and try that last comparing two rates. All right, here we are on the last one. We're comparing how much a bar of soap costs, so the bars go on the bottom. 10 to 12, that's 85 cents per bar, and 4 over 5 actually came out to 0 and 8 tenths. But that's not money, so you got to add that extra 0 here in the background. That's 80 cents per bar. All right, so that does it. Remember, in your notes, you got to take really good, clear notes. And if you find yourself just copying, it might be a good decision to go through this again and listen to what you did and what you copied down so that the math is making sense. And remember, your teachers want to help you. So ask those questions. Make sure you get clarifying answers to those questions and that you are good to go before we get to the next lesson.